G'day, g'day. Welcome to another episode of Aussie Box Office Charts, weekend 31. Let's dive in. Not too much happening, but let's dive into what did. Starting with our top 5 for last weekend. Fantastic Four First Step stays at number 1, dropping 43% with $3.6 million for a current total of $12.4 million. Superman stays at number 2 with $1.4 million, dropping 33% in its 4th week of release for a current total of $22.4 million. Jurassic World Rebirth stays at number 3 with another $1.2 million. 5 weeks in release, dropping 25% for a current total of $29.5 million. And F1 the Movie stays in number 4 with just over $1 million. Week number 6 dropping just 13% for a current total of $26.9 million. And Chal Mera Putt 4, new at number 5, the latest installment out of the Chal Mera Putt franchise that started back in 2019, which is a Punjabi language comedy drama out of India. This one is set in the UK with a group of immigrant friends find a bag of £1 million. Hilarious hijinks ensue, and it brought in $500,000. Moving on to 6 through 10, at number 6 we have Together with $476,000 for a current total of $500,000. Opening in number 6, How to Train Your Dragon moves down to number 7 with another $366,000, dropping 29% in its 8th week of release for a current total of $29.7 million. Saiyaara moves to number 8 with another $287,000, its 3rd week in release, dropping 47% for a current total of $1.4 million. A pretty impressive hold for an Indian film to spend a 3rd week in the top 10. Doesn't happen too often. Normally they have a big week 1 and then a massive drop off week 2. The Friend opens in number 9 with $265,000 for a current total of just over $300,000. And sitting in number 10, I Know What You Did Last Summer with $245,000, dropping 51% in its 3rd week of release for a current total of $2.3 million. That movie is not going to catch the total grosses of any of the previous movies, either of the previous movies, I should say, because there's only 2 that had theatrical releases. But it's about halfway to what either of those brought in. So let's take a look at weekend 2. It's weekend 2 drop of Fantastic Four. How well did it stack up? Well, when I say mid, I mean mid. Exactly. It is the exact midpoint of a week 2 holds in the Australian box office, dropping 43%. It is around the original Iron Man at 45% and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that dropped 43%, but it is quite literally in the middle. So let's have a look how it stacks up when we add in the cinema score. So Fantastic Four First Steps with its A- cinema score, 43%, dead middle as well. Dead middle of the A-minuses. With the original Captain America, the original Incredible Hulk, and Black Widow dropping more. Remember, more is worse. And Thunderbolts dropping 34%, Ant-Man and the Wasp dropping 35%, and Thor the Dark World dropping 39%. So it's even mid-pack within the A-minuses. Now, that's a marked improvement over Brave New World, which got a B-. But yeah, mid-pack is what we can say about Fantastic Four, except when we compare it to the other Fantastic Four movies. So some silver lining for the Fantastic Four. The First Steps is now the highest grossing Australian Fantastic Four movie. Within Australia, obviously. With the original Fantastic Four in 2005 bringing in $12.1 million. Rise of the Silver Surfer in 2007 brought in 9.6, and Fan 4 Stick in 2015 brought in a total of $5.6 million. This one is at 12.4 after 2 weeks of release, so it's going to be the highest grossing. It already is, but let's adjust for inflation to see how far it's got to go. And it's not that far, to be honest. Bringing in $12.4 million after 2 weeks of release, with a fairly clear slate for a few weeks, it's got to get up to $20 million adjusted for inflation to beat 2005's Fantastic Four. But it will easily catch the Silver Surfer within the next week or 2. And yeah, and if we round it back to MCU totals, while it's still only 2 weeks in, it's already hot on the heels of Black Widow and Brave New World and Thunderbolts. So it should be passing those in the next week or 2 at most. So it is going to be the highest grossing MCU movie of 2025. How high will it go? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it could easily get up to the $15 to $17 million range, I could see, which, while still not mind-blowing for the MCU in Australia, better than the last few entries, so take your wins when you can get them. A fairly uneventful top 10 this week, but if you're curious about how the current 2025 top 10 of the Australian box office stands, everything released in the calendar year 2025, this is how it currently stands. A Minecraft movie at number 1 with $56.2 million, nothing is catching that. At number 2, Lilo and Stitch with $34 million. At number 3, How to Train Your Dragon with $29.7 million. Hot on its heels, Jurassic World Rebirth with $29.5 million. At number 5, F1 the movie with $26.9 million. At number 6, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning with $23.6 million. Superman's at number 7 with $22.4 million, looking to fly over the top of Mission Impossible in the next week or two, I would say. And then 8, we have Paddington in Peru at $17.7 million. Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy at number 9 with $16.5 million. Thunderbolts rounds out the top 10 with $13.9 million. And obviously, since there's no changes, nothing has dropped out this week. All right, time to take a look at what's upcoming this week theatrically. August 7th, first up, Freaky Friday, a legacy sequel to the 2003 version of Freaky Friday. This one directed by Nisha Gantra, but still starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, along with Julie Butters. We also have Weapons in wide release, the latest from Zach Cregger, his new movie, where again he both wrote and directed, starring Julie Garner, Josh Brolin, Alden Ehrenreich, and Benedict Wong. Much anticipated after the hotly released Barbarian from a couple of years ago. In limited release, we have Future Council, a documentary written and directed by Damon Gameau. And this is Spinal Tap 41st Anniversary, a re-release of the 1985 classic, probably to get everyone excited and on board for the sequel releasing later this year. That's right, there is a Spinal Tap 2 releasing in 2025, so get hyped. Across on streaming, both of these dropping on the 6th of August, so note your calendars. First up, we have The Pickup, a new action comedy movie over on Amazon Prime, directed by Tim Story, starring Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, Keke Palmer, and Ava Longoria. We also have Wednesday, returning for season 2 over on Netflix, but I believe they're doing that thing where they release half of the season at a time, and then next month they release the other half. So your mileage may vary, but I know a lot of people loved season 1 of that, so it's coming out this week. So only 4 movies this week for this week's challenge of true stories. First up was from 2022, directed by Ron Howard, with 13 Lives, starring Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, and Joel Edgerton. A biographical survival film based on the Tham Luang cave rescue in 2018 that captured the world's attention. A classic Ron Howard movie, very traditional, and you've probably seen most of it before, but it was still really good. Next was Waves, or Vilni, from 2024, directed by Cyril Madil, starring a bunch of actors I'm not going to pronounce due to them being Czech names, and I would not know where to start. Absolute apologies. Waves is a historical thriller set in 1967-68 Prague in the Czech Republic, telling of the events of the Prague Spring, a period of history I knew very little of, but was genuinely interesting and alarmingly similar to what a certain country is doing to another country right now, down to the exact same false reasons for invading. I'll let you see if you can work out what's happened there. Next up was a rewatch of the 2019 movie Ford v Ferrari, directed by James Mangold and starring Matt Damon, Christian Bale, and John Bernthal. A historical drama telling the tale of Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles building a Ford racing car to compete with Ferrari in the Le Mans race in France in 1966. I've seen this one before, but I really do enjoy it. Great performances, great writing, great interesting historical context. What's not to love? Finally was The Children's Hour from 1961, directed by William Wyler and starring Shirley MacLaine, Audrey Hepburn, and James Garner. Based on the 1934 stage play of the same name by Lillian Hellman, which was inspired by the true story of two Scottish teachers in 1810. An unruly student at a private all-girls boarding school scandalously accuses the two women who run it of having a romantic relationship. Remember, this was made in 1961. Talk about a movie ahead of its time. This was pretty amazing as a movie, especially from 1961 when the Hays Code was still very much around. But oh boy, do I agree with the most popular comment on Letterboxd about this movie, which I'll post right here. But great movie, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was my pick of the week. Time to take a look at what's upcoming this week for Two Character Poster. A nice easy one to identify. It just means two characters, and only two characters, are on the poster. So you have things like Grease, It's a Wonderful Life, Past Lives, October Sky. Let's jump over to my shortlist and see what we've got. My shortlist is massive, sitting at 70 movies already, but we've got like The Vast of Night or Mortal Kombat Rewatch, Friendship or One of Them Days, The Sting, Super Mario Brothers. We've got so many to watch, so we'll have to see how we go and how many we get through this week. And that is it for me this week. Nice short one, hopefully. I'll check the runtime at the end. But I may try to catch Red Sonja this weekend, but it is only showing in a very, very limited number of screens, and they're a bit out of the way for me. So we'll see if I can get there. If I do get to see it, I may even think about writing a review for it because it's out here a week before the rest of the world, but it looks terrible. So no guarantees. But apart from that, that's it for me this week. Have a good one. Watch more movies, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.